After Tyre fell, the southern path towards the east was open. Alexander the Great gathered his army and turned south. His target, Egypt. These lands had been under the control of the Persian Empire for centuries. But the Egyptians were not satisfied with Persian rule. So when Alexander approached, what was expected was not a great battle. On the contrary, it was a welcome. The Egyptians received him like a liberator. The gates opened, cities surrendered. No major battle took place. This would become one of the easiest conquests of Alexander's life. But this conquest was not just military. It carried a symbolic meaning. Because here, he would no longer be just a king. When Alexander entered Egypt, local priests came to greet him. To them, this new leader was not just an invader, he was a ruler. And soon after, Alexander was officially declared Pharaoh. This moment was a turning point in his life, because from this point on, Alexander began to see himself not just as a king, but as something greater, a ruler, perhaps even more. While in Egypt, Alexander made a decision that would change history. He found a suitable place along the Mediterranean coast, close to the sea, perfect for trade, strategically located. And there, he decided to build a new city. The name of this city, Alexandria. This was not just a city, this was a legacy. It is said that Alexander personally designed the city. The layout of the streets, the location of the harbour, the position of the walls. Everything was planned. This city, would become one of the most important centres in the world for centuries. Science, trade, culture, all would meet here. But in those days, Alexander had only one thing on his mind: the next battle. One of the most mysterious events in Egypt was a journey. Alexander, with a small group, set out into the desert. His destination, the Siwa Oasis. This temple was the oracle center of the god Amun. Here priests interpreted the future, but the journey was not easy. The desert was scorching, water was scarce, winds carried the sand. According to some accounts, the group even lost its way. But eventually, they reached the temple. There the priests welcomed Alexander and gave him a special title, Son of God. These words deeply affected him, because now he began to believe he was not just a king, but a divine figure. This belief would change his character. After Egypt, Alexander turned east once again, because Darius III had not yet been fully defeated. This time, everything would depend on a single battle, one final war, one final reckoning. Its name, the Battle of Gaugamela. This battle would become one of the greatest in history. 331 BC, the plains of Gaugamela were prepared for war. This was not ordinary terrain. The Persians had leveled the ground, specifically for battle, because they would use chariots. These chariots were machines of death. Their wheels carried sharp blades. But this time, Darius was more cautious. His army was enormous, according to some estimates, several times larger than Alexander's. But Alexander was not afraid, because he knew victory was not about numbers, it was about strategy. When the battle began, Persian chariots charged forward. The ground trembled, soldiers were struck with fear, but Alexander's troops were trained. As the chariots approached, paths opened, and then the Macedonian soldiers neutralized them. This moment eliminated the Persians' greatest advantage. But the battle was not over yet. Alexander noticed a gap in the center of the Persian army, a small opening. This was the greatest opportunity of his life, and he did not hesitate. He drove his horse forward and charged directly toward Darius. The Persian king saw this, and just like at Issus, he fled once again. This moment decided the outcome of the battle. The Persian army collapsed, and Gaugamela belonged to Alexander. After this victory, the Persian Empire effectively collapsed. One by one, its capitals fell, its treasures were seized, and Alexander was no longer just a king. He had become an emperor. But the story did not end here, because for Alexander, victory was never enough. He always wanted more, always more.